The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but you are urged to like and share them on Facebook. Howard Insurance now presents the African American Scene with your host, Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. I must confess that I'm having withdrawals. I made a pledge to be off of Facebook for the month of May, and except for my business page. So I do go in there and I take a peek, but no comments. I haven't responded to any of the controversial things that have come up and kind of got my goat. But I'm trying to make it to the end of the month. No Facebook.
You're not very far from the halfway point.
I know. Believe it, it's tougher than I thought it was going to be.
I'll bet, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have open mic night tonight because there's nothing to talk about right now.
Absolutely nothing whatsoever.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. But
well, there is that the president firing the FBI director.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything's fine.
Yeah. Let me. I'm only going to lay out 4 topics. I would imagine that
there you go.
This will get everybody going. There was groundbreaking for the Crosstown Parkway Bridge this week.
All right, let's hear some applause, folks. Come on.
Yeah, so that's about to happen. Yeah. I think it's slated to be done in 2019, I believe it is.
Well, yeah, it's going to take a while, but can you imagine the congestion that will be avoided?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get back and talk about that. Okay. That's one of the things that I think that Port St. Lucie has done pretty well. The Fort Pierce police chief, who herself has been under controversy and a lot of close scrutiny, fired 2 police officers this week with the death of the young man Schmier in Fort Pierce. So, DeMarcus Samir. I had a pretty rigorous debate about this a few months back. But the interesting thing about this issue is they avoided a criminal prosecution, but they got dismissed from their jobs for violating police procedure. What say you about that? I'd like to hear what some of your thoughts might be about the police chief dismissing these 2 officers. Well, I can't seem to get away from it. It comes up almost every week now, it seems, but the Affordable Care Act repeal, quote unquote, repeal and replace, which is really a bunch of hockey puck, happened last Friday. And maybe some of you cheered about that. But again, I'd like your thoughts about that. We can always talk about that. And finally, James Comey gets fired by President Trump. I got to tell you that the firing did not bother me as much as the manner in which it was done. But we can talk about this. So if you want to weigh in on any of those topics, the phone number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590. Some of you may or may not have known that I was the chairman of the St. Lucie County Bridge and Expressway Authority for almost 6 years. And at that time, we were trying to build a toll bridge from Port St. Lucie over to the island. And I did battle with Mr. Grande on a regular basis at those meetings. But I'm glad to see that this is finally happening. Now let me say this. our city is not perfect by any means, and there's a particular portion of a road in my neighborhood that I am very troubled with, and they have on the board to be fixed, which is at the corner of Tulip and Port St. Lucie Boulevard. It is scheduled for repair. But we generally do a pretty good job of the roads when compared to other places that I have been, which, like in Raleigh, where my brother-in-law lives, they allowed them to build about 10 different developments and have done nothing to the roads. So it has just turned into a complete mess. But we have Steve on line one. Yes, Steve.
How many roads we built here since we built all these thousands of houses? 0.
No, yes,
Okay,
Steve.
name one.
Well, first we expanded the.
No, name a road that we built. The Crosstown Parkway doesn't count. That's not a road. That's a road to nowhere.
Okay, the South Bend Road that exits out on the Becker Road, that was a significant change.
That was part of a development.
But
The fact of the matter is, Rudy, we have not, as a taxpayer, built a road. It's been developers. We used to have concurrency where the developer built the fire station, police station, and school.
okay,
We
well,
got rid of that.
I'm not going to argue
we
with
got
that.
rid of we got rid of the developers helping to build the roads. So that's one subject. But another one I really wanted to get to.
Okay.
Why isn't Donnie the commie in jail? That guy has broken more laws than anybody. I mean, there's guys doing life in prison that haven't broken laws like he has.
Oh, God. There's a guy I saw this morning, I guess it was last night, Painter, I think his name is, a former ethics attorney for George W. Bush. And he is totally and thoroughly disgusted. He's a Republican. He's disgusted with the emolument infractions of Donald Trump. He said they're horrible.
You know, it reminds me of having a buffoon at the head of the pack. There's no reason why Trump should be the president other than the white people wanted to get revenge. But now the white people are going to find out the revenge is on them.
I think you're right, my friend. I think you're right. I told some of my friends that they were getting on. I said, listen, just calm down, because some of these guys believe they're getting at us. And the reason why I'm telling you to calm down is because they're getting at a bunch of white folks.
That's right.
And when they figure out that the stuff they thought they was doing to get to us is kicking them in the butt, then they're going to be like, well, wait a minute, this wasn't what I bargained for. And I think we see some of that now with how people turned around on the Affordable Care Act.
Well, healthcare, that's it. You know, they were going to lower the price. Now they're going to up the price. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because not as many people are participating because they're going to get rid of HCA.
Yeah.
They couldn't even say it right.
Yeah.
Now it's Trump care. You know?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to start calling it, Trump care.
Yeah. But
it's stupid. Put 24 million. Here's the stupid part. In that law, see, I'm disabled, so I read a lot, and I love law. In that law, it prohibits the government from reimbursing hospitals for indigent patients, and the hospital has to eat it or try to collect it. It used to be the government would give them 85%.
That's right.
And now they give them nothing. So 24 million people out of health care. They're going to use the emergency rooms for their doctors. Emergency rooms are going to be packed. So if you come in with a skull laceration, you may have to wait for somebody's sniffles.
Right.
And it's stupid. It is complete. Well, it's fascist Republican. What more can you say?
Yeah.
That's a new word for stupid.
I got to tell you, and to me, and the first person I've heard say this, other than myself, I heard Joe Scarborough say this morning, who he's a conservative.
Yeah, I watch it every day.
Yeah, he said, well, if you heard him this morning, he said, this is not Republican. This is not Democratic. He said health care is a moral issue.
That's right.
And that's the way I see it. It's a moral issue.
And last night, I watched a program where some congressman said, health care is in the Constitution. It's called life.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, try to have the Constitution without life.
Yeah.
Liberty and happiness mean nothing if you're dead.
Right. Well, I got another call coming, Steve.
Okay.
Thank you, my friend. Sean, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay.
I enjoy your show, but you really got to play both sides sometimes.
Okay.
Steve, I think his name was.
Yeah.
When he says how many laws Trump has broken,
yeah.
All you got to do is ask him to name a specific one that he's broken. And because Steve sounded like a buffoon also. And I'm on both sides of everything. I never look at anything from a political standpoint. I look at it from a life standpoint.
Okay, I like
and I
that.
don't look at it from a Democratic or Republican because, let's face it, folks, neither one of them are looking out for us.
Okay.
If anybody believes that, they're nuts. All right? But you can't just make blatant statements saying that the man is a buffoon and he's broken so many laws and not say, Steve, what law did he break?
Well,
because you know what? It takes every bit of the credibility away from a caller when he makes a blatant statement like that and then doesn't back it up with it specific.
Okay.
So,
well, the guy Painter, who I talked about with Steve, is a former ethics lawyer for George W. Bush. And he prints a violation a day. And I meant to go out and look at that today so that I would be able to give you the location. But
that's okay because we have a system in this country, okay? Now, if Donald J. Trump goes out and shoots somebody on Park Avenue or whatever he said he could do
Fifth Avenue.
In Times Square, all right, they're going to arrest him. They're going to put him in jail. I don't care who he is, king of the world, all right? However, if he signs an executive order or he whatever, normally it's executive order. We have a system. It goes to the somebody out in California, it sues, the Ninth Circuit Court overturns it, whether it's viable or not, and then it goes on to another appeal court, and that's the way it's taken care of,
mm-hmm.
all right? It's not a breaking of a law. Maybe the law was written incorrectly, and the same thing happens in Congress nonstop. They pass a law, which, by the way, the ACA was passed without anybody reading, and I'm sure there were some things in there we probably shouldn't have had. And again, it goes back to, I get so frustrated with people taking a side, Obamacare, Trump care. The truth is they're sitting down and they're doing this in what feels like 10 minutes. And I work in the healthcare business, and I hear both sides every single day. And neither one of these plans is going to solve the problem. So, and the whole time we're being distracted by this, the government's still wasting so much money. We could have free health care for everybody in this country if they just stop wasting money on, the sex life of a shrimp. $400 million they spent on planes that never took off the ground in Afghanistan. Of course, nobody knows about that because the news doesn't report on it. They spent $400 million, which weren't built here in the United States, by the way. And then they sell them for $35,000 worth of scrap years later because the planes weren't made to fly in the desert. The first test flight they took after they were delivered, the guys came back and said, I'm never getting in this thing off the ground again.
Right.
See, we don't hear about that stuff because they want to distract us constantly so that they can take care of the lobbyists. So I just it just aggravates me when people make sweeping statements without specifics because you need to get into specifics. And he says he reads a lot. He must know some specifics. So as a host, I would appreciate it the next time somebody says he's broken so many laws, just say, give me just 2 examples. Because he said laws with a plural, so that must mean there's 2 that he's broken. So go ahead and just give me an example. It's the same thing as my friends that I golf with that used to bash Obama, and I'd say, give me a specific.
I've done that myself. So I could give you some specifics, but it was his statement. So and actually he's calling back to challenge what you said. So let me get him back, and so he wants to respond to some of the things you said. And thank you, Sean, for calling in. And keep listening.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay. And Steve, you're back.
Yeah. How you doing?
Okay.
I wanted to redress the monkey. The campaign finance laws they're investigating now, they can't find something like $300 million that was for his inaugural, and they found checks made out. Those $600,000 that were made out to vacant lots. They've also investigating him now. The investigation really hasn't started, but what they've got so far, everybody that's got something against him, he fires them or he covers it up. But the campaign finance law they're looking into, and absolutely the inauguration law. So the monkey man there, he wanted 2 examples, he got 2. He sounds like your nitwit has never done anything in his life.
No, I wouldn't say that, Steve. He's not like
Anytime
some of the other covers. He's called up and he's tried to present a balanced point of view, and he challenged. He challenged.
Somebody insults me. Show up for an hour and we'll have a public debate and watch me rip you a new one. Bring a whole bunch of Charmin because you're going to need it, pal.
Okay.
This guy sounds like either he's on dope or he is a dope.
Okay, Steve. Wow. All right. Well, thank you, sir.
With all the different ideas, there are a few conflicts out there. But, hey, this stuff makes good talk radio.
Yeah.
I don't want to discourage anybody from calling this show.
No. And as if you've been listening to me for a while, I'm very respectful of other people's point of view. Even when I strongly disagree with them, I try to let them say their piece. So,
got a surprise for you now.
Uh-huh.
Conservative Steve is with us now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Conservative Steve. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Here we go again.
Okay.
And let's understand that I don't know where this other guy takes his the one that is he liberal or is he progressive that talking all this hate speech, because that's basically what he's doing.
What do you mean hate speech?
Hate speech. You didn't hear how he was talking about Trump, our president of the United States? All the stuff they used to say about people talking about Obama, that's hate speech. But that's neither here nor there. Here's my point. My point is, if a liberal or progressive considers the Constitution a living document, then it's a document that is growing, that's getting different, and there's no substantial consistency other than democratic, let's call it the democratic process. And you have to understand that the democratic process is by itself discriminatory because it identifies the majority and the minority. So if we get back again to, this guy says that he broke a bunch of laws. Well, Obama did executive orders just as President Trump is. I'm not
He didn't say that his executive orders were breaking of the law. And he made some clarification for some of the things that he's talking about.
Yes.
Okay,
but you have to understand that here's the problem a conservative has talking with a liberal or a progressive.
Okay.
Just like you have said in the past, that a person who believes something to be true, that's reality. That's their reality, and that's reality. And that's not the truth. Just like in the 60s when they used to say, you got to go out and find yourself, don't make yourself. And see, the thing about the Constitution is it talks about rights.
Steve,
Right.
if you're going to tell me that let me finish because I'm going to save
always
you.
do interrupt.
I'm going to save you for some statement you get ready to make. If you're going to tell me that the Constitution is a document that should be adhered to without any movement, left, right, or up or down, I'm going to say to you,
within the process of the, it cannot be assumed. It is not assumed. It is direction. There can be change, but it cannot be changed without the due process of law. And that's what we're running into right now.
Well. Let me give you example. Let me give you two examples real quick. Brown versus the Board of Education. There's no constitutional basis for Brown versus the Board of Education, but the Constitution, the Supreme Court ruled that separate but was unequal in trying to provide for education for minority students. In Loving versus Virginia, it was against the law for a white man to marry a black woman. And the Supreme Court found that law to be invalid. So when somebody calls up and says that to me when somebody calls up to me and tells me that the Constitution cannot be adjusted, that's insanity.
That's not what I said, Rudy. And I take offense that you would say that. I said it has to be changed by due process of law. It's not changed by a court. It's not changed by an officer. It's not changed by a president. And if you agree with that, then you understand my point of view.
Well, what I would say to you about that is the way, in theory, it should work, and on that we can agree.
Okay,
in theory, all changes to the Constitution and to the law should be done by the Congress or to make those
Senate
changes.
Or the House.
Yeah, right. Okay, so so we would agree with that.
And
in theory.
Okay, we agree at that point. Then if we have to agree at that point, then we have to go back to the founding of the Constitution and understand that the preamble says that we are given rights by our Creator. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, what we have to understand, first of all, is the rights that the Creator gives us, not an assumption. Now, see, that's where that's where we get into our problems. Because if the Creator gave us rights, those rights are supremely right. Once man starts to interject his, like you can't marry the black woman or you can't marry the black man if you're white, whatever, those are outside the laws of God. But see, what I'm trying to explain to you, and the Board of Education is a great case. And if you look at the psychologist, I think there were sociologists that said that, he made a point, and this point is very, very relevant. He said that black people needed to be accepted by white people to make them feel part of society.
Well, I don't
now,
remember.
Do you believe that black people have to be accepted by the white to be accepted?
No.
Okay.
But here, by the same
and here,
token.
well, wait before you go. One other thing, because I give guitar lessons and my students haven't showed up, so that's why I'm calling tonight.
Okay.
Okay. The second point is that the premise behind the education was that blacks were not getting the quality education that the whites were getting. Am I right? Because, okay, is that pretty much say that? You agree with that?
I would say that is, not only do I agree with it, that was an absolute fact.
Okay, if it's an absolute fact, just think And I like when you start to use the word fact, because facts, how you get the facts is almost as important. But do you understand what was behind that fact? It said that the teachers that are teaching in black schools are not the quality of the white schools.
No,
So,
that's
yes,
not.
it did.
That's not.
Yes, it
Wait,
did.
wait, wait,
I'll
wait,
tell
wait,
you
wait,
why.
wait, wait,
Now,
wait,
let me
wait.
tell you.
Nope. That's not what was the precipitating change that happened. And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what the change was, because my wife grew up in that system. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I did not grow up in that system. And let me give you an education that a lot of white. No, wait a minute, because you don't understand. There's a lot of things you think you understand that you don't understand. Now let me explain to you about the teachers that were at her school. Okay?
Listen.
They were all black teachers. There was almost no white teachers. The inferiority of the education system came because they had inferior equipment and inferior books and resource material for the kids to learn. That's what separated the education
Rudy,
system.
That is not the case.
No, don't tell me it's not the case. You don't know.
Listen.
You don't know that, and I'm giving you fact.
I can say the same thing to you. You
Well,
don't know
I'm
that. You're assuming that.
No, I'm not assuming that. I'm giving you verbatim. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to tell you that you don't understand. See, you think you know a lot of things, and you need to spend more time listening instead of assuming. You assume a lot. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing you don't understand. Those teachers back at that time, when my wife had to go to those segregated schools, those teachers lived in that neighborhood. And they went to the same grocery stores as the mothers and fathers. So Mrs. Smith, 6th grade teacher, when she was in the store and she ran into Mrs. Adams, she could say, you know, Mrs. Adams, your daughter was so-and-so. There was a sense of community and a kinship. Let me finish. Just learn something. There was a feeling of community and kinship between the teachers and the parents because they were all on the same reservation that they were forced to be on. Now.
So are you saying, now stop right there. Are you saying it was better education then when it was a black school and a black or
what I'm
black
saying,
teachers that knew the black kids, that knew the black families?
What I'm saying to you is there was a better appreciation and a deeper commitment to the students in those segregated neighborhoods than there was otherwise. That's what I'm telling you that you don't know.
All right, listen, Rudy. I'm over 60 years old.
So am I.
Lived it. My parents lived in this town. I have known many of people. I was the first graduating class at Fort Pierce Central, which was integrated the first year of integration. So don't tell me what I don't know, because I know about LPA. I used to go to LPA's football games when it was just a black school. A lot of the white people did, to hear the band, to watch the players. My point, and we're getting away from the point, is that they were saying that education was inferior. Reading, writing, arithmetic, math, these things. The kids were far superior.
You're breaking up now.
Your phone is breaking up.
The kids were far superior in those functions and subjects back then than they are now, and the respect for the educators. But my point is that, again, by what we have created, by assuming that the board versus board of education versus Brown, it's not in any way a fix-all. What's the lady's name?
Well, let me tell you why they had to do that. And okay, I'm going to give you a very personal experience. Okay.
But see, personal.
Okay, what am I going to tell you now?
Good,
Let me try to educate you again. See, the discrimination in the North was vastly different than the discrimination in the South. Okay, we had mixed schools, but the discrimination was just as deep. Now, I went from first grade through 8th grade and part of 9th grade in a Philadelphia school in a predominantly black neighborhood. Now, here's what I have learned as I graduated from college. What they did back then was, if you were a teacher they wanted to punish, you know what they did? They sent you to the black neighborhood to teach. So you know what that meant? That meant the kid in the black neighborhood that was going to school was not getting the proper education. Now, and I'm going to say myself as an example. God rest her soul, my mother, I brought a paper home one day that was a B+, and she looked at the paper and said, "Who gave you this grade?" I said, "This is the teacher that gave me this grade." And that, I can remember the teacher's name. Her name was Mrs. Spector. She was my English teacher. She didn't give two craps about us. We threw paper balls, spitballs, stuck pencils up on the ceiling, and she sat in the chair and read her newspaper. After my mother read that paper, they moved us to New Jersey. If it wasn't, I was lucky. I had a mother that was educated enough to be able to cipher that. That's the kind of stuff you guys don't understand that has happened.
Rudy, it's the same thing here. I had on my side teachers that did just the same thing. But I am not going to consider myself a victim. I'm going to consider myself an opportunity. And what everybody does today is consider themselves a victim. And that's just what you did by your examples. I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. No, you're an opportunity. And God, you're a God-given opportunity. And the Constitution is a God-given opportunity. Slavery on the books only lasted 87 years in the United States. At its conception, it was doing away with slavery. Now, I'm like I was saying before, when men start to go against the laws and the rights of God, you can expect the worst. You can expect 17 million black abortions. You can expect more people die by abortion than all wars combined. When you start accepting things that are outside the realm of what God knows best. That's my point, Rudy. All. That makes it all. And our Constitution was founded on that principle, God-given rights. And this guy to say you have life. Life doesn't mean you get the right to have somebody else's money or that. No, life and the pursuit of happiness doesn't say you're going to be happy.
Okay,
it says the pursuit of happiness.
Wait. Now you swang away from the book, cause you know what? If you don't start down that path and then veer off to the right because you want to talk about
Rudy,
because you want to talk about other people's money.
Don't eat in the Bible too, doesn't it?
Well, I can tell you there's 63 verses in the Bible that tells us how to treat the poor.
Okay, what does it say? It says, take money from that guy over there.
It does not say that. It says what the Bible says is you treat the poor who does not have because I have given to you. And it is selfish of you because what you have is what I gave you. And if you are obligated as one of my children when there is needy and people that need help for you to help them.
You're giving the opportunity to choose to do that, to help. That's the responsibility of every individual, but it's not the responsibility, like I could say, you're not a liberal, because if you're a liberal, you would give me your checkbook because I'm a good guy. and you would let me write
That's
checks
silly.
to help people.
That's silly.
No, it's not silly.
That's
because
silly.
it's not silly.
That stupid conservative argument people make all the time that we want to take other people's money. That's ridiculous.
Rudy.
That's a dumb argument.
No, Rudy, it's not a dumb argument.
It is a dumb argument.
I'm talking about the responsibility of the individual collectively as a church to help people collectively as people, whatever you want to help people. True, that's true.
But see,
it's not my responsibility to force you to give your money. That's not my responsibility.
Well, let me just tell you this, my friend. If we really, really, truly believe in the Word, and we really believe that what's in those pages are the Word of God, those who have been selfish and willing to allow people to suffer so that they could stuff their pockets just a little fatter are going to have to answer for that on Judgment Day.
Okay,
that's what
they're going to have to answer. But is it? Tell me where it says, chapter and verse. It's your responsibility to force those people to do it.
No, God gives us free will. That's part of what's in the Bible.
Absolutely. But now we're on the same page.
But yes,
that's why Christianity. If you have a group of 10 people and they win 2 people for every year, and every person by 20 years everybody's a Christian in the whole world because of the doubling effect.
Well, I'm just going to tell you this that wanting to take other people's money is the stupid canned talking point of all conservatives, and it's just it's
not, Rudy.
It is stupid because
Rudy,
you know what? As a progressive, I don't believe in taking your money to help me. Now, what
not
I
to
do,
help you, but you want me to.
No, what I want you to do. Well, here's what I want you to do. If you want to know, here's what I want you to do. I want your humanity to override your conservative principles and allow you to care for your fellow man. That's what
Rudy,
I want you.
You don't
that's
know
what
me, and you do not know what I'm involved in.
That's what.
And you're making an assumption, and
that's
what
I want you. You're asking me. I'm just telling you. That's what I want you to do.
But what you just said is judgmental, and it is also derogatory, and it's also hate speech because it discredits. I'll use all the words. It disenfranchises me. It's causing me to be something that. And if they say it long enough, I'm going to believe it. That's baloney.
Okay.
That's baloney.
Well, I got to take a break.
I know you do. Hey, I love you, man.
Yeah, I love
Talk
you too.
again sometime.
All righty.
Great talk radio tonight on the African American scene with Rudy Howard. Wow.
We'll take a break. Don't touch that dial. If you want to call up, that number is 340-1590.
Rudy don't mess around either.
Serving the entire Treasure Coast, Howard Insurance and Associates in Port St. Lucie offers a wide variety of insurance products, along with the very best customer service. Whether you're shopping for the best homeowners coverage at the most affordable value, contact Rudy Howard's team at Howard Insurance and Associates. If you need coverage for your vehicle, call Howard Insurance and Associates, 343-9878. That's 343-9878. Maybe you're planning to add a boat, motorcycle, or RV. Call Howard Insurance and Associates for your free quote at 343-9878 and get the coverage you need at a cost that will fit your budget. For home or business, auto, or recreational vehicle, choose Howard Insurance and Associates, 600 Southwest Darwin Boulevard, Suite 206, Port St. Lucie. And for your free rate quote, call them at 343-9878, 343-9878. WPSL Digital 1590 presents CBS Storm Track Weather.
Hey, Treasure Coast, I hope you're ready for summertime because summertime is ready for you. I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Jeff Baradelli. Felt a little warmer today, and overnight tonight it will be on the warm side, mostly clear skies. A big bright full moon and low temperatures will be in the 60s. Now, as we head into tomorrow, high temperatures are going to climb up there with lots of sun. We're going to be right around 90, maybe even in low 90s. Looks like low 90s for everybody on Friday, low to mid 90s on Saturday. We may actually see a record high, then some scattered showers for Mother's Day on Sunday, but overall not a bad day. I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Jeff Baradelli in the CBS 12 Storm Track Center for WPSL Digital 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Thank you, Jeff. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. WPSL Digital 1590 and News 12, the ones to turn to on the Treasure Coast for up-to-date weather and news.
We now return to the African American Scene, brought to you by Howard Insurance and hosted by Rudy Howard.
You know, I got to tell you, that is a very interesting conversation, and
It's not uncommon either, is it?
no, it's not, and it's because Steve thinks he's thoughtful. Well, he is thoughtful, and he's intelligent. And he makes assumptions about things based on his intellect, which mislead him because he lacks the basic fundamental to be able to connect the dots. So, you know, the experience that I was saying that I had, and you and I were talking off the air, I experienced it in Philadelphia. It also went on in Boston. Because I went to college with kids from Boston who had gone through the same predicament, where they took the crappy teachers and they gave them to the kids, to the black schools, and all the good straight A teachers they gave them to the white schools. That's just the way it was. I'm not asking you to be responsible for that. What I'm doing is educating you that existed. So the barrier, you know, there, and I'd like to give, you know, my life changed because we moved to Jersey. And the school the high school that I went to was one of the top schools in the state of New Jersey. So I did catch up. It took me the first year, I almost got left down, but I did catch up eventually. Because I had been an A-B student for the first 8 years of my life. I did finally catch up. When I got to college, the high school I'd gone to had me ready for college. There was a young lady that I went to college with who had never had anything but an A her entire school career. And that first year at my school, she was on academic probation at the end of the first semester. She was so distraught and she was so hysterical. She was going to leave school, that they had to sit down and talk to her. Now that young lady, because she was a dynamite lady, she graduated with honors. But she had to fight her way back because she had been buried by improper education in a black neighborhood that gave her an inferior education. That's the truth. Winnie on line one. Yes, Winnie.
How you doing, Rudy Howard?
Okay.
And okay, you mentioned about Boston, Massachusetts. I was asking my son. Okay, I tried to look it online. But did they have slavery back in Boston, Massachusetts, back in the days?
No, not slavery per se, no.
It wasn't no slave state?
No, that was not a slave state.
Oh, okay. I wonder about that. Oh, so it wasn't no slave state at all. Basically, in the South, most of.
Well, there was probably some. Well, when you think about the slaves built the White House.
Right.
Okay, so there was a bunch of slaves there, and I know there was some slaves in Delaware, and I know there was some slaves in Maryland.
Harriet Tubman from Maryland.
Yeah. So Now, as you went further north, there was not slavery per se, so that didn't exist up there.
Up there.
But they did part of the Underground Railroad ran through the north. For example, in Sag Harbor in Long Island, New York, that was one of the big spots where slaves, if they were emancipated, many of them settled in Sag Harbor, New York, that were free people. So a lot of the free people went from the south to the north. But I can't say definitively there was no slaves in Boston because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm about 90% sure.
Oh, okay. No slaves in Boston, Massachusetts, in that area.
Yeah.
Okay. But I hear Steve was going on about that kind of stuff. Okay, so I heard Rush Limbaugh was saying about the man made a joke about Donald Trump, his daughter Ivanka. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yes, I have.
And he had oral sex with his daughter or something. And that man made a joke. That's a nasty joke. And that's terrible for him to say that. You know, I'm just saying, I don't believe that's true at all.
Well, I'm going to say this because I got to be consistent. I think that joke was out of bounds. I didn't like some of the things they said about Obama, so I can't be a hypocrite. I think that joke that Colbert, who I happen to like Colbert, that joke that he made was out of bounds.
I know.
Okay,
that's terrible. You're right. It's all kind of natural stuff about Michelle and Barack Obama calling them monkeys and apes and all them, all the racist slurs and stuff like that and everything. All right, y'all have a good day.
Okay, thank you, Winnie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right.
So that was good.
Always.
All right, I got that off my chest. Oh, I got so emotional about that because people don't understand how hard it was for you to overcome that deficiency that you got, and you're up there competing against kids that never had to go through that. It just made it that much harder for you to try to overcome. But hey, that's over, done with. I just want to know, when it comes to Comey getting fired, I have to tell you something. I haven't said this very often, but I am embarrassed, American, to the way we are behaving. To have the director of the FBI find out that he's getting fired on TV is so ignorant and crass. Forget whether you think he should be or shouldn't be. That's not even the issue. The issue is the director of the FBI finds out that he's getting fired when he's conducting a meeting in a field office in L.A. That's no class. You can't tell me, you can't give me any excuse for why he had to do that. There was no reason to do that. You could allow the man some dignity to come back and fire him when he gets back. What's the difference? There's no difference. But you humiliated him. And this is some of the things that I've said in the past about Trump. It's one thing to disagree with somebody, but it's another thing when you humiliate him. He was humiliated by doing him that way. And you know what? You can say anything you want to say about the firing and call Democrats or progressives hypocrites because they now are questioning the firing, and before they wanted them fired. There is a bad smell, a funky, rotten smell about what happened here.
And the taste test is even worse.
Oh yeah, something stinks. There is something stinky about what happened with this, and if you didn't hear, on the way here tonight, I heard that the assistant DOJ had received a request from Comey the week before for additional people and resources for his Russia investigation. That happened 1 week before he got fired.
How suspicious.
So you can.
That's kind of fishy.
Yeah. Oh, it does. But like I said, I don't say this lightly, but this man embarrasses me. He embarrasses me when I think about how people in Britain and France and Germany are looking at us and his behavior. It's like, oh man. As mad as I would get at Bush about certain things, I never felt embarrassed by Bush, one or two. Neither one of them. Never felt embarrassed.
And there's a new buzz phrase out there today. It's called Nixonian.
Yes.
Nixonian. So much like Nixon. Well, Nixon was originally, eventually, he had to resign.
Yeah, well,
eventually.
Yeah.
And
and I was listening this morning. They said there is a bit of a Nixonian feel about what's going on here. Well, we'll see.
I love the play with words.
And listen, again, I have to be very consistent because I'm a big proponent of proper justice. Mm-hmm. Trump is innocent until proven guilty, and he has every right to have a fair adjudication of the facts, and I advocate for that. But you can say, listen, it's like, I'm going to give it to you like this. This is the best way I can describe it. Bill Cosby was one of my heroes, okay? When one person said something, two persons said something, when it got to 10, I started thinking to myself, I don't care how much of my hero he is, there's a problem here.
Something's fishy.
Something not right. But anyway, I'd like to thank you for listening to the African American Scene. God bless and be safe. And I will see you next Wednesday right here for the African American Scene.
Archives of this show can be seen on YouTube at WPSL TV. WPSLTV.com takes you to our YouTube archive. The African American Scene with Rudy Howard, brought to you by Howard Insurance and presented every Wednesday evening in the 6 o'clock hour, right here on Digital 1590. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.